I've played tons of games, and some of the coolest memories I have of gaming throughout my life align with occasions where I played games with friends. After all, that's what having friends is all about, taking a break from life and checking out a game together. Usually I wouldn't talk about something like this, but one of our epic community members pitched it during a Firefighter video giveaway. Legend Odinson 7082 asked for 10 games that I played with my friends that I actually didn't like. And yeah, that's something that I remember vividly in my life, so let's talk about it. Let's begin. Growing up, my dad would not let me play any game that was rated any higher than teen, T for teen. I don't know why, he just was really dead set on that, so for the longest time I never messed around with the Call of Duty line. In fact, it wasn't until high school that I actually played my first COD, and it was always after school at my friend Jonathan's house. He had a 360, I didn't, and he had Modern Warfare 2. I didn't. So we would get home from school, do our homework, and hop on the Xbox, and with me not playing it often, I'd get my shit kicked in, to the point where it really wasn't that fun. God forbid I tried playing 1v1 with my friend because he knew the maps and I didn't. So even after trying to play it for so long, I just sort of tolerated that, if it makes sense. The closest I've ever come to playing Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 on my own was a demo. Just a demo. This is a legacy franchise, and it's one that many people enjoy, and before I shit on it, I want you to know I don't think that the Worms games are bad. In fact, I think if you're into it, you'd have a blast. Now, I played this game with friends once I joined the military. We would all gather in the day room in tech school and play it on a computer hooked up to a TV, and we would take turns launching stuff at each other, and therein lies the problem. A game of Worms can take a long fucking time, to the point where it's just boring to me. I would sit there twiddling my thumbs, waiting for my peers to finish deciding if they wanted to move, if they wanted to aim, what weapons they wanted. And what's so funny to me is that games like this, they've always had this issue. Shell Shocked Live, which is a modern Steam game, is the exact same way. If you have 4 teams, you're gonna have to wait a little bit before your turn. For a long time, Fasmophobia was one of those games that took the world by storm. You could be a ghost hunter, find out what kind of ghost you were interacting with by narrowing down clues, and of course make money, or at least in-game money you could use to buy more equipment. Now, when this game first came out, it was fun. I remember laughing with friends, getting the shit scared out of me, running away from ghosts, actually having fun with this game. But as with all great games, they have to be updated over and over and over again. And what used to be a fun time ghost hunting and shooting the shit with your friends turned into an obnoxious lore dump of bullshit that you needed to do. One of the things I enjoyed was being able to hide from ghosts, but then that stopped being relevant because the fuckers could just walk up to you and kill you. In the beginning, there were only like 8 variances of ghosts, and don't quote me on that, but I do know that there weren't many. Now there's 24 ghosts, more equipment, new maps that I can't figure out. It's just really not for me. It also didn't help that Fasmophobia was one of those games that set a standard, so once other developers caught on to it, they made their own games, and those games were eons better than Fasmophobia. You ever play Castle Crashers? It's a beat 'em up, one created by the daddy of quality flash animation, Tom Fulp. That was a time that dominated my life. When I couldn't afford well-known PC games, I would just pop onto the internet and play flash games. Newgrounds, Albino Black Sheep, Miniclip, Cartoon Network, Congregate. There were so many fun websites to play these novelty games, and I wouldn't have to spend a penny. Then at some point in the future, I'm sure after Alien Hominid was ported, Tom Fulp was like, oh shit! I can make games for consoles now, and he did. I remember playing Castle Crashers with a few friends, but they almost always had already beaten it, so to play it was to basically use their file and their unlocked abilities, and to me, it meant I had zero skin in the game. Literally. I was just running around and beating stuff up with zero objectives, and to me, that isn't necessarily fun. But I did beat it, so it's done. I adore Diablo 2. I think I brought that up before. It's a genuinely fun game, and the people I played it with, that made all of the difference to me. In fact, in comparison to Diablo 1, it's a dramatically different experience, but ultimately Diablo 2 had one class that would annoy the hell out of anyone, and that is the Necromancer. Now, the Necromancer as a character class is incredibly versatile, and if you like to play a class that allows for minions, boy howdy, you'll love the Necromancer. You'll love it so much when your friend is a level 20 Necromancer, summoning 8 skeletons that are always following him, and equally always getting in the way. As much as I love not having to worry about doing the most damage, later stages in the games involve stairs, and those stairs are not wide. And I'm not gonna lie, most of the game has narrow passages, so if you're playing this with a friend who loves using a Necromancer, you're gonna have a rough time. At the end of the day though, I was still happy to play it with people who were important to me. There was a point in time where World of Warcraft dominated my life so much that it actually affected everything in my life. I started playing it when I was in the 11th grade. My friend had it on his computer and everybody was talking about it. And to my knowledge, there really wasn't any other MMORPG I played outside of Tibia. So one day I checked it out with some money that I made and I was hooked. For 3 years, it's all I played, and I came in during the time of Wrath of the Lich King, so I started with the original game, worked until the Burning Crusade was relevant, then I bought Wrath of the Lich King and I played the fuck out of it. It just dominated so much of my life, and for the life of me, I never felt like I was good enough to actually play with my friends or guild members. I was always the lowest DPS, and people talked down to me. It just wasn't for me anymore. I love Starcraft. I actually love it more than I should. I was so afraid that moving forward, I would just have a biblical amount of disdain for every single RTS that would ever grace my eyes, thanks to Warcraft. It had that effect on me. That sheer, raw, unpolished bullshit game. I fucking hate it so goddamn much. It was the second game I ever perma-fucked off. I refuse to play Warcraft, Orcs, and Humans. Now that being said, when I started playing Starcraft, I was beyond overjoyed that things made sense. The factions we could choose all had these great abilities and play styles, and it made sense to me why so many people loved it and why they were so excited to see Starcraft 2. But then I made the mistake of playing Starcraft with 2 people who in their childhoods ate, slept, and shit Starcraft. I had a modest base, I was confident, then I got power fucked in the dust by both of them at the same time. So far down their tech tree, it was impossible for me to do anything. And I actually had a panic attack, which is very much uncharacteristic to me. I was dumbfounded at how different people can play versus the AI of this game. Mad shout out to the good Jared and Salvo subs. I love you to death, but that was a bad day. Overwatch was one of those games that I really never had any interest in playing, but one day one of my roommates told me, hey, you should play this game, and I decided to get it. Now at this point in my life, I had played competitive online shooters for fun. This wasn't me in high school holding a controller I didn't know, this was 100% me playing a new game, but having a generalized understanding of what I would need to do. And I would learn certain characters. The problem is, the people I played with would always choose the character I was proficient in. So I ended up being Mercy most of the time because that's all I could do. It is what it is. Fortnite is interesting. I don't mind it one bit, but there's this thing about me having borderline personality disorder and playing a battle royale game, and I'm sure this will come up again, and by sure I mean it's the next entry. I have a very strong depressive response to making people feel like I'm not pulling my weight on a team. Now granted, the people I'm playing with, they don't care, but my brain doesn't work like that. My friends could be sitting in front of me with a gun to my face saying, we are not mad at you, we are having fun. And my brain would be like, you deserve that bullet, you filthy slut. Now I'm better at Fortnite than I am, say, PUBG, which I can't stand, or Tarkov, which I've actually never bothered playing, but that feeling of being in a team environment and falling short mentally really pushes me away from playing with people I know. And here it is, the 10th game. I had a tough time picking games for this list because there really aren't that many games out there that suck in terms of multiplayer. In fact, I love the opportunity to play games with my friends. In some cases, say Mario Party, I actually prefer it because it makes getting the stars needed for the final board come quicker than it would if I played it alone. But this is Warzone, and don't get me wrong, Warzone is an interesting game, and by interesting I mean the same bullshit that I hated on Modern Warfare. These sweaty professionals going out of their way to make my time less fun, and then insulting me for taking the time to play the game. I have thick skin. Nobody can say anything to break me. But again, that internal feeling of being not good at a game and causing my teammate to be put in a shitty situation is something I don't like. So Warzone gets added to this list. And that's it for today's episode. What did you think of this list? Are there any games that you played with your friends that you just didn't really enjoy but still tolerated? Feel free to let the community know down below. Who knows, maybe you'll share a memory with someone else. Speaking of our community, if you made it to the end of this episode, you're already home with us. We're a gathering of video game enthusiasts that love to remember when life was just a little bit easier to live. And if you align with that, you'll fit right in. Finally, the single most important thing you could do for me is to hit that thumbs up button, as it directly impacts the visibility of the videos and the projects that I work on every single day. As always, from my family to your family, good energy, good vibes. Fortefyre out.